It's great to be here. And what a great time to be alive, honestly. Come on, isn't it a great time to be alive? Absolutely no better time than this. Look at the great challenges we have. I mean, it's mountains ahead of us. It's it's national security, it's energy, it's abortion, and I will talk about that, because that's the hill that I've chosen to stand and die on. So if you're offended by that, just hear me out to the end. There's a lot of things. You know, economy, jobs, elections, corruption. Gee, can we go on and on? What a great time to be alive. Come on, guys. I have to back up a little bit. I have to do full disclosure here. As you saw in my bio, I am a native of Norway. By the way, I'm a legal immigrant. So I don't know if that's illegal in California, but on a serious note, I swore an oath to that flag. There's 2 military people here who also did that. But I challenge you to the fact that you guys are all born in this great country, and that's wonderful. I swore an oath to it. And I'm dang proud of that, and I'm very serious about that oath. And I will do whatever I can to defend that. And another disclosure is I do have an accent, though I think my accent is a little less than the governor of California guy. You know, no offense, guys, but you know, he could have worked a little harder on his accent. But I could put on a better accent. So it isn't just a Fargo accent, for those of you who saw the movie Fargo, which sucked, by the way. That movie sucks. It is a true accent. We are truly speak like that up there. And it's because of that heritage up there. So I'm not going to go into a lot of background, but I do want to share one thing that kind of sets the stage for, I guess, who I am, the heritage that I believe in, and I think it is kind of a parallel a little bit, not me, but the heritage issue in what we see in Sarah Palin. I believe firmly in God, and I thank you for your prayers this morning. Faith is certainly what motivates me. Grew up in a nation that doesn't have that faith as strongly as maybe it did a couple hundred years ago. But I grew up in a family that lived through World War II. And so lived in a little town in Norway that actually produced what's called a heavy water, which was the component to the A-bomb, to the atom bomb. And that little town that I grew up in, literally if you stand on Main Street and look up, you see both peaks of the mountains. When I was in kindergarten, I took a cable cart up to the mountainside because that's the only place there's sunshine for 6 months. So this is a tiny little valley in Norway. And I grew up with a grandfather that hid in the mountains from the Gestapo. He was in a resistance. And while he was hiding there, the Gestapo tore my mom's house inside out consistently, and it ended up taking 2 of my uncles into concentration camp as hostages in order to flush my grandfather out of the woods and out of the mountains, which he could not do because he knew under torture he would give up hundreds of people and plants. And so he let his sons go to concentration camp. Now that's just part of my heritage, and I was born 17 short years after World War II was over. Seems like an eternity. I grew up in freedom. I've never experienced conflict, never experienced any evil like they experienced in World War II. But my parents did, and we were hammered my whole life about stories. And yeah, Dad, I heard that. Yes, I know you were there. Yes, I knew you hid messages in the meat, you know. Yes, I know you killed a horse to eat it. And it was, you know, yes, you know. And I'm getting older, and I'm going, and my dad is long gone, sadly, but I'm going, whoa, what were they trying to tell me? They were trying to tell me what Israel knows well. Never again. Never again. And so my dad was very strict. He said, stand up for what you believe in. Never stop seeking truth. Never stop defending the least of these in our society, whether it's the elderly, the wounded, the little precious Triggs who needs a little extra help. Love that little guy. Or for me, the unborn, certainly. Never stop standing up, speaking up for righteousness. And so I have that heritage that I know, and for years have used that strength of that heritage. And I found myself, 2008 in September, in the White House during the Bush administration. I was at a reception at the White House. And I remember standing there. It was a reception for a president that appreciated life, and he had invited some of the top pro-life people in the nation in to give them awards. And it was not me. I was just an observer for our organization. I was privileged to be there. By the way, the food they put out there is kind of, everybody stood there didn't dare to touch, because if you picked a piece of banana, the whole float could fall down, you know? So you knew it was real people, because we're all looking at, well, where do you eat this thing, you know? But yeah, I stood there, and Fannie and Freddie had fallen apart a couple of days before, so Bush wasn't there, but his people were there, and they were honoring these people. the people that are in the trenches, that have walked in the trenches with the girls, that have adopted their kids, that have walked through 4 pregnancies with 4 different men, with lots of these girls, which I have had the privilege of doing as well. And I stood there and I thought 2 thoughts. Number one, I'm sure my dad is looking down going, what the heck are you doing down there? You know, what's my girl doing in the White House? And I was kind of thinking that too. But the second thought I had, this was during the campaign when Palin was campaigning, I thought to myself, and it was almost one of those moments of awe, I thought, will we again have a leader in this place, in this house, that honors the least of these, and that honors all of life, and that honors true conservative values, which I think is based way back even before the founders. Will we have one again, or will we not? And I think we may, and Sarah, if that's God's will. I hope so, but I don't know if she even knows herself. I sincerely hope so, because now when I go to Washington, D.C., my friends, the atmosphere is nasty. You can almost feel it in the air. And those of you who we're going to hear about voter registration later, you feel it in the air. The opposite of and I didn't agree with Bush on anything. Again, full disclosure, but at least he had that righteous core value in him. So on we move, and I'm supposed to talk about grassroots activism. I'm from the great state of North Dakota. I know none of you have ever been there. Have you? Anybody? No. I just, take it back. South Dakota, a whole different ballgame. No. I mean, come on. Daschle? No, yeah, that's right. He's gone. Great state of North Dakota. You watch out for North Dakota. We're that little state that is a lot like Alaska. We're the only one in the lower 48 that get that extreme 40 below weather. Been there, done that, live in it. We have about 600,000 people, 650,000 people, same as Alaska. We live off the ground, literally. We are literally grassroots. I mean, that's what I do. We grow stuff out of the field. And it just gives you that independent, gotta make it on your own spirit. Married a wonderful man there, and I'm raising 3 kids with him. And we are shaking up Washington, D.C. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but we are. We're going to replace 1 Democratic senator and 1 representative in November. Hands down. And, you know, and part of that is, again, I know this is being taped, and I'm speaking to inspire you that one person matters. And if I can come from another nation, and I can swear an oath to this flag and appreciate what this nation stands for, and by providence, God's providence, can be involved in what I'm involved in, then any of us can do the same thing. And so I'm going to tell you a little bit about Senator Dorgan. So if this gets online, Senator, I hope you're listening up as you're retiring. Senator Dorgan, they don't like me. Our senators don't like me. Can you imagine? But I know them all pretty well because I kind of go to their offices quite a bit. And so, and I'm very nice. And I come from a political family. My mother-in-law was lieutenant governor under Ed Schaefer, who ended up being ag secretary, by the way. Great guy under Bush. So I'm sitting in a basketball game, local little Timbuktu basketball game in North Dakota, you know, jam-packed, and I get this text last winter, and it says, Dorgan's retiring. And I go, yes! You know, and I'm looking around and I go, there's nobody to tell. I'm surrounded by Democrats, you know. I'm like, wait, I gotta tell somebody, you know. And I knew that we have hounded him so bad for so long that he just threw the towel in. Can I use you for a minute, sir? Can you stand up for a minute? This is what we did to Dorgan. Now let's see how irritated this guy gets. So, yeah, see, yeah. Gee, it wasn't that easy to lobby. You're a pushover. What we did is, you know, you remember back in August, and I'm giving this an example, August of last year during a healthcare debate, and I spent most of my life last year fighting healthcare. I'm still fighting it. We're going to repeal that sucker. And I'm all with Michelle Bachmann in Minnesota. I worked with her a couple of times. She's also a little tiny spitfire, by the way. Yeah, she's awesome. Worked with her a couple of times, and I'll share a little bit about that later. But we decided when Dorgan and Conrad, our 2 senators have been there 20, 30 years, and Pomeroy came home, that we were going to community organize. So